What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here, and today we need to talk about a very important issue within Destiny 2 and actually gaming in general, and that is the actual removal of base game Destiny 2 content and the placement of that content behind a DLC paywall with the Curse of Osiris expansion. This is something that should not be ignored, and outrage and the community attention of this topic started as soon as the expansion came out. Now, I didn't cover this initially simply because I only have so many hours in the day. I was really busy diving into the DLC, getting all of the new weapons, new content, getting all of my characters raid ready for the new raid lair that just released yesterday. But now, having finally completed the guide for that, feels like a weight has been lifted off my chest. I can actually have some time to breathe and talk about other things. And unfortunately, this is the main other thing. This is the main thing going on within Destiny 2 right now. It's something I would rather not talk about, something I don't want to talk about, but ignoring this would be completely irresponsible as a Destiny 2 YouTuber. To pretend everything is swell in the world and everything is happy and Teletubbies and flowers would just be completely irresponsible of me. So we've got to talk about this. And it's something that is starting to get mainstream attention as well, as it rightfully should. Just like how the gaming community banded together to tell EA to just sod off with Star Wars Battlefront 2 because they hid the entire game's progression system behind literal pay-to-win loot boxes. This is something that is, again, unacceptable, that gaming companies should not just be able to do, to literally remove content that they were previously advertising for within the base game behind a new $20 paywall. So, what the heck has been going on? What the heck has been going on to get headlines like this? This is from the front page of Reddit saying, don't buy your kids Destiny 2 because you're going to have to buy the expansions as well. And you know what? That's not even sensationalist. Looking at the facts, looking at what is going on, that title is pretty much on the money. As much as I love Destiny as a franchise, and as much as I love you, Bungie, I love a lot of what you guys are doing. Playing the raid lair last night, what other shooter, what other first-person shooter lets you come together as a team, have 6 people in there, communicating, working together, doing insanely hard mechanics, and overcoming a challenge like that? I can't think of one that comes close, and I would love to be talking about that, but instead we're talking about this. And I'm sure Bungie would rather the headlines be about their new expansion rather than being about removing content from the game. But guess what? That's what happens when you pull shady stuff like this. So Bungie, as much as I love you, you did this to yourselves. Now, I'm going to be explaining things a little bit slower, and if some of you play Destiny 2 will be like, I already know this, but we need to go over it for anyone watching this video who isn't a Destiny 2 player, who's wondering what the heck is going on. Because frankly, a lot of the main news outlets from people who barely play video games are doing a pretty horrible job of covering this. So, what exactly is going on? How exactly are they actually removing content? Well, I'll tell you. Firstly, Destiny 2's main problem right now is a lack of endgame. So what did Bungie do? It removed the 2 most pinnacle endgame activities, well actually 3, but for now 2 most pinnacle endgame activities with the prestige difficulty activities, and raised their level cap, their power level cap, to the new DLC power level of 330. So what this really means is that Bungie has taken the hardest, most elite PvE content and raised its level cap to one literally unattainable to anyone who hasn't purchased the DLC for $20. That's pretty insane. But the worst part is that it happened to the raid. The Leviathan raid is the pinnacle PvE activity for Destiny 2. It's a main selling point for the game. Destiny 2 does raids pretty darn well, and Destiny 1 did them excellently too. And when you're trying to convince your friends to buy the game, you tell them about the raid. The Leviathan raid, 6 people thrown into the ringer with hardcore mechanics that you have to really communicate, really work together to overcome. And the Prestige raid was the absolute top tier challenge for anyone who enjoyed the PvE content. Now, Destiny 2's Prestige Raid doesn't hold a candle, in my opinion, to Destiny 1's Heroic Raids, simply because all of the rewards are cosmetic this time around. It's a new armor set, that doesn't really matter, it's new shaders, it's stuff like that, new, I guess, a camo for your gun, but it is the end game. If you're someone who bought Destiny 2 and you enjoy the PvE content, which a lot of people do, overall I think it's still a very fun game, what you would previously look forward to, what you would previously work your character to be able to do is the Prestige Raid. Doing the Prestige Raid. And if you see someone with the gun ornament that you unlock for it, or with the armor set that you get from it, you know that person is hardcore. You know that person is a good PvE player, that they've overcome the top challenge that PvE can throw at you right now with the Prestige Leviathan Raid. Now, it's gone. And that's kind of insane, because anyone who recently purchased the game, and even for the PC players, Destiny 2 finally appeared on the PC amongst a lot of praise from PC players, but they've only had it since October 24th compared to the September 8th or 9th release date, or even 6th, but early September release date for everyone else, so the PC players have only had access to this activity for a few weeks. Now it's gone! The most depressing and practical example of what we're talking about here is that there's a big quest behind the exotic raid shotgun, the Legend of Acreus. Really fun gun to use, shoots lightning, kills everything. But the quest eventually climaxes with the last step telling you to do the Prestige Raid, and then you get an ornament for this weapon that changes its appearance dramatically, makes it look really, really cool. And now, if you don't buy the DLC and just buy the game, that quest will never finish. It just has that last step that will never be attainable until you spend an extra $20. That is just a really depressing way to look at what happened, but a very factual way as well. That's literally going to be the case for many, many Destiny 2 players. But frankly, the biggest problem out of all of this is that they didn't just remove the prestige activities, they removed Trials of the Nine. Trials of the Nine is to PvP what the raid is to PvE. It is the top tier activity that everyone is trying to work for. If you're trying to sell this game to your friends, if you're trying to convince them to get this game with you and they're interested in PvP, you tell them about Trials. Every single time you tell them about Trials of the Nine and say, listen, it's hardcore 4v4 elimination game mode where it's all about the wins. If you go 7 wins and 0 losses, you unlock a special area that gives you special rewards. It's crazy. And it is crazy. In the first couple of times you do Trials, I mean, now for anyone watching, you guys may be sick of it, especially with laser trials, inside joke for Destiny fans, but you may be sick of it now, but the first few Trials matches, when you just buy the game, they are heart-pounding. They are an intense gaming experience, and it's again something that Destiny 2 I think does rather well, especially with Destiny 1 and Trials of Osiris. There's some really, really hardcore PvP action to be had there. But now, it's gone. They actually removed it, and it's locked behind this DLC paywall. That's insane, especially because they marketed Destiny 2 with Trials of the Nine. They said, yep, you buy Destiny 2, you'll gain access to Trials of the Nine. Not anymore. And I can't believe they did this. I understand you can maybe make an argument for raising the prestige activities and saying, look, the level cap raise comes with the expansion. We raise the absolute pinnacle activities to that new level cap. There's nothing, what else could we do? I can maybe buy that argument. I don't agree with it, but I can maybe buy it. But just completely taking out a whole activity altogether, it's not like they have a normal Trials version and then a Prestige Trials version. They removed one, they removed the entire activity altogether. That is a big deal. That literally would be like taking away the raid for PvE players to a PvP player. That is just crazy. But actually, Bungie doing all of this was fulfilling one of the main player complaints from Destiny 1. No one's talking about this because they did it so poorly, but Bungie actually updated the levels of the old content. This is something that players have been asking for about 2.5 years in Destiny 1. Previously, you had the original Vault of Glass raid, and when the new expansion came out, it would raise the level cap just with the new stuff. So if you wanted to do activities that would get you to that new level cap, you literally couldn't play the old raid. It was completely pointless to do in terms of progression. And Bungie got criticized a ton for this, and finally, they do this. Right now, if you did buy the DLC, the raid, the old one, is still very, very relevant. But again, they did this in the worst possible way. And I've got to ask you guys, what would be the problem with raising the power level cap universally? For every player, whether they bought the DLC or not, you can now get to the new 330 power level. I don't see any problem with that. In fact, it would be rewarding to your original fans. It would give the people who just have the vanilla version of Destiny more to do. And frankly, if they're playing the game more, they're going to be more likely to buy the next expansion. I really don't see anyone not buying the expansion, or very few people not buying the expansion because, they couldn't get to a higher level than anyone else. They would still get to grind for a level, but the real content of the expansion would be the new weapons, the new armor, the new activities, the new location, the new raid layer, all of that stuff, the new story. That's the main meat of a DLC, not the 5 extra levels and 30 more power levels that we got. That's just something to do, something to grind for. So I don't understand why DLC players get this level raise and original players, first of all, don't get this level raise, so they're more bored more easily and less likely to buy the expansion, but also get completely screwed because a bunch of content has been removed for them. I just don't understand this logic whatsoever. And so, that's what's been going on in Destiny 2 right now. The actual removal of content from the base game and hiding it behind a paywall. And this is just unacceptable. They can't market Destiny 2 as containing things like trials, like a prestige, difficulty for activities, and then removing that. If so, you've got to go and edit all of your trailers, Bungie, and remove any mention of that from articles, from everything, because it's no longer factual. So Bungie, please, for the good of the game, for the good of the community, reverse these changes. We're going to have a lot of potential new Guardians coming into an awesome franchise with Christmas, and the first thing you're going to experience is the fact that they've been ripped off. Do you really think that's going to sell more DLC? No, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to do what it did to Star Wars Battlefront 2. So please, there needs to be some serious changes that happens to this game, and soon. And so guys, there you have it. I hope you, enjoyed this video, or at least agree with what I'm saying. And if you do, please remember to take the time and support this video. If you're wondering how stuff like this happens, it's because too often us gamers ignore it. And also, if there's someone from Bungie watching, guys, I do this as a fan, seriously. I don't want everyone to get their first taste of a potentially amazing franchise with Christmas coming up, and immediately they're left with a rotten taste in their mouth. They look at the headlines and they're all saying that they've been ripped off. Do you really think this person is going to invest more in your franchise if that's how they feel when they first get the game? No! I want people to love and experience Destiny 2, and they're not going to with business practices like this. So again, still love you guys. I'm saying this as a fan, but you gotta enact some changes. And again, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see more Destiny 2 content, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.